Wow, today we're starting a brand new series taking a look at the unrest happening all over the world and how it might impact our safety right here in America. Our first installment is all about Sub-Saharan Africa. Some predict it's the next frontier for terror, with extremists threatening to turn the area into a global jihad's deadliest front. Jillian Turner's here. She's a Fox News contributor, as you know, former White House Security Council staff under President Bush and President Obama. Here to break it down for us. Jillian, great to see you.
You too, Brian.
All right, let's talk some interesting stuff. First off, the continent of Africa. Let's take a quick look at where the terror really manifests itself and grows like a planter's wart. So in the north portion of Africa, what's the threat?
In northern Africa, we are looking, and across parts of Central Africa, we're really looking at Boko Haram and Al-Shabaab as the biggest terror organizations, the most lethal that are operating continent-wide. But ISIS and Al-Qaeda have also got their hooks in there as well.
All right, so here's where Al-Shabaab could be located if you were looking to find out where to avoid or where the threat is. This is where they are. So their ideology is essentially Islamic extremists, but what separates them?
Well, both Boko Haram and ISIS really believe in the establishment of an Islamic caliphate. Much like ISIS, they believe that non-Muslims should be expelled from the continent. That means they either have to be killed off or they have to be kicked out of the country.
Hence, Christians are targeted.
Exactly. All non-Muslims are targeted across the country, and they're thriving because there's these unique combinations of an impoverished population that's largely undereducated, as well as a lot of instability and armed conflict. It's perfect, ripe conditions for terrorists to take advantage of.
Let's move through East Africa right now, and the countries you'll see highlighted are, they want to be borderless, but there's borders there now: Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, Sudan, Tanzania, and Uganda. What's the terror group there?
The terror group there is Al-Shabaab, which is based out of Somalia, but is also operating in Kenya. Their sort of claim to fame, their most high-profile attack was the one of 2 years ago, which was against an upscale shopping mall in Nairobi, Kenya, a shopping mall much like you'd see here in the tri-state area. Wealthy patrons from all across the world, Europeans, Americans, and Africans, and almost 65 people died in one single day.
And that is their Hall of Fame. The more you kill, the more damage you do, the more press you get, the more powerful you are, and the more terrorists you'll attract, which is bad for us. Nigeria, one of the most industrialized countries in Africa, they have the blessing or curse of oil, and right now we know it can be quite dangerous. This is Boko Haram area.
Yeah, and their claim to fame, or sort of one of their most high-profile attacks, was that of last year when they kidnapped and then later subsequently murdered almost 300 school children, all girls and young women, from a facility in Nigeria. It sparked a kind of social media campaign here in the West. Beyond that, government didn't take a whole lot of action, unfortunately.
So, Jillian, the overhanging umbrella groups are Al-Qaeda and ISIS. And basically, they're competing with each other to attract groups like this. And some are leaving the Al-Qaeda orbit to go into ISIS. Al-Qaeda feels they got to up their terror rating, so they're going to inflict more harm and terror. Who's winning this battle?
It's hard to say in terms of raw numbers because we just don't have the intelligence and the data right now, but I would point you to the fact that ISIS has recruited Boko Haram over the last year. That was a huge coup. Boko Haram declared allegiance to ISIS and is now getting funding, among other things, from
Which is why the theory would be crush them in Syria, crush them in Libya, and let them look like the weak horse, not the strong horse. The good news is, Jill, you're coming back. All week long, we're going to be talking about the world on edge with the terror groups, where they're located, and their chances of coming here. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brian.
Turner, thanks so much.